Let's start our garden tour with the front porch area. We've got the prayer plant. These leaves are huge. It seems to be doing okay. It's in a slightly smaller pot than maybe it should be in, but they're doing okay. It's hanging in there. We're gonna leave it and not mess with it until after we move and maybe put it in something different. The African violet, y'all, look at how gorgeous this is. I'm so in love with this plant and the fact that it came back. If this is your first garden tour, please go back to one of those beginning garden tours and see what this plant looked like. These purple flowers, I haven't seen them in several years. My daughter's begonia is gorgeous and loving life, as is her succulent. It has doubled in size and it's awesome. This one over here, I really need to learn what the name of this one is. From not watering it frequently, my first red one that came back after a couple of years has already faded, but I've really picked up on the watering again now that I've seen what happened to it. And we've got some red ones coming up underneath, and I'm really happy about that because it's telling me it's happy with me. The purple queen showing her lovely flower this morning. And then the lavender. This lavender has bounced back. I'm stunned. It looked absolutely completely dead when we transferred it in here. You can rub your hands against it and your hands will smell like lavender. When you just move it around, the space around smells like lavender. So our goal is when we move, whenever we move, is to have a lot of lavender because it keeps spiders away, and my honey is not a fan of spiders at all. All right, let's go back to the backyard. Hey there, let's have a garden tour today, and let's also tour me being the Zodiac Tiller. I am so excited to have this platform to share with you, as well as to document for myself what I'm doing, how things are going, and I'm hoping in years to come I can look back at these videos with my kids and talk about, hey, remember when we lived in that little house and we had that little garden in the backyard, and this is where it started. I'm dreaming about this life now. I'm constantly thinking about this life now, and this is my goal. And it's like that phrase of your dreams don't come true until you plan them out, and then they become your goals. And 100% that's where I am now. I really want to make this my business, as well as I want to share with you how I'm doing it and what's going on and how things are going for me. So I was thinking a ton this past week about my little business and where I wanted to go and how I wanted to head, and a big component that really was like in my face was the fact that if this is my business, it's not as clean as it should be. It's not as pretty as it could be. And I want to take this weekend, hallelujah, it's the weekend, happy Saturday. I want to take this weekend to fine tune a little bit, I guess, all of these things that I've got going on. So during this garden tour, I'm going to talk with you about what's been changing, what's growing, how gorgeous everything is, and what it is that I want to do. If you're new to my channel, I hope that you enjoy this little tour. I am the Zodiac Tiller. My name is Danielle. I am in the state of South Carolina. I have never farmed before. I have not grown up on a farm. This is all completely brand new to me, but I'm trying as hard as I can, and I'm going to share with you what it is I'm doing and how well it's working out. I am a renter in a small house with a pretty small backyard. I'm currently only able to grow out of containers because as a renter, I'm not allowed to dig into the ground. And I have recently applied for a USDA loan to hopefully buy my dream of having some land and a house. So please send out some good vibes for that. I'm waiting on a letter back. I'm waiting on some form of communication, and I actually sent my stuff off almost 30 days ago. So however that pans out, I'll be sure to share that with you as well. So come take a walk with me and let's see how things are going as well as how things aren't going. And when standing up to start my tour, I spilled my whole thing of water. Oh, how sad. And it got on the moon calendar. But it reminded me I wanted to show you. Today is July 18th. Based off of the full moon, we should be applying liquid manure and cultivating only. This is the section of time in the zodiac calendar that I'm not really sure what to do. So I just make sure I give my plants some love. Here's a quick overview. I have most things where I'm really enjoying it. I love our rows. I love our alternative pots that we have everything growing in. But all of the extra things are in a little bit of disarray. Let's start with our herbs. So I have, hello Mr. Wasp. We have wasps living in the window of our kitchen. We leave them be. They have definitely doubled their little colony size, but they don't bother us, so we don't bother them. We assume that they're just gonna help our little garden out. But back to business. This basil plant. I was really nervous when I first trimmed this basil plant. I didn't know what was gonna happen, and it grew a little bit. And as you see in previous videos, it was sitting on the wire racks, but it was really dry. So I had originally made this grow bag. It's only about 3.5 inches deep, I believe, and it's a 10-inch diameter. The grow bags are great, and they're also not great because they are really dry. You can water it in the morning, and then the next day, it almost seems like you didn't water it the day before. I made it with regular landscape fabric. I think that's a big component to it. I have a lot of ideas on how I could improve them, but right now those aren't my concern because we're not planting anything new. What my sweet honey did was he actually put the bag that was our most shallow grow bag and dried out the most on this plastic container, and he fills the container with water so the soil is constantly moist. And it was within days, this basil plant just like exploded up. I really need to probably harvest again soon and see how much more I can get to grow. But it's amazing. If you have a bag like mine, it's a grow bag, it dries out a whole lot. Consider putting it in a plastic container and then leave the bottom of the plastic container with water, and it just kind of leaches up and it loves it. You can even see how much the roots have come out. It's just super cool. Here's the rest of our little herb production. We brought one of our kitchen shelves, just those metal shelves you can get at Lowe's, you can order them online. Here is our English thyme, parsley, my sage. I almost said basil, but it's not the basil. This is sage. And then chives. They are actually doing so much better after I have snipped them and pruned them. They have come back bigger and stronger and more abundantly. I'm very surprised, and I'm really happy that I did take that. I took the, how can I phrase this? I took the leap of faith when they were small and tiny, and I wanted them to be bigger. I was so afraid that cutting them was going to kill them. Because if you take something and you cut it in half, how can it not die? But it doesn't. It comes back even better than it was before. Here in South Carolina, it is hurricane season. Like, hurricane season does affect us. None of the hurricanes hit us straight on, but we do get a lot. So the taller plants that we have, they kind of have started laying over. I'm sure it's because they're too tall. Like this one, I don't know why, but it has all of its peppers growing right on top. And it's very lengthy. This is one of the plants we saved from the seed store, and I think we got it for 50 cents. So it is in massive production. It's a chili red hot pepper plant. So they just got to sit on here until they go red. The pollinators are awesome. They have been out so much. Look at our banana peppers. These are huge. I need to find out what to do with them. We have harvested some of them. My boys really like banana peppers when they get them at Subway, but when I cut them up for them, they are not the same. So I think it's because at Subway they're sitting in a juice. Maybe they've already been like in a canning process. So I need to figure out what I need to do to get banana peppers to be like Subway's banana peppers. If you have any advice, please leave me a comment. Here are my super cool Poblano peppers. Can you see how big they are? We're not sure how big they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to feel before we harvest them. Again, this is all brand new to us. We don't really know what we're doing, but we're doing it and we're learning along the way. Oh my gosh, guys, stuff is so big. I think we're going to need to go ahead and harvest. I'm gonna go get the honey and he can take over of the videoing while I start cutting. All right, honey's out. He's now got control of the camera so that I can walk around and cook some things while we're doing our garden tour. I did talk to him about these banana peppers and we're gonna go ahead and take those off now. Look at how big and beautiful these banana peppers are. And it's, of course, a little ant. We've got ants all over the place. But all from our tiny little Lowe's bucket, gorgeous banana peppers. And they go perfectly in the harvest apron. Spicy jalapenos are getting really big, but they have not been turning red. We're gonna do a little experiment, leave them on here, see if they start to turn red or not. In the picture they're green, but I thought that jalapenos turned as well. I'm not really sure. I'll have to look it up before I cut them off. These eggplants though are definitely ready to come off. We just got a mix from Sam's for Italian crusted things like Parmesan chicken, and I'm hoping to make some eggplant Parmesan. And that one. Here's one thing that I have noticed. I love green beans, and I love that I have green beans growing in the backyard. However, one plant is not enough. If I want to actually make green beans for my family, while one plant was great to start with, I'm only getting 10 or less beans at a time to cook, and that is definitely not enough for us. So next season that we choose to grow green beans, I'm going to make sure that we have multiple of these plants going so that we can harvest more. Almost everything in this garden was an experiment to start out with and see how it did, but this is something I've really noticed. This is something we love as a family, we love to eat, and in order to provide for ourselves, even just for one meal, I'm gonna need multiples of these plants. Here is our gorgeous ghost pepper plant. You've seen this plant since the beginning of our videos. I'm pretty sure this was the first plant that we rescued from the seed store. I want to say it was like $1, $5 maybe, I'm not sure. But it's producing a giant amount, but these leaves look like it's sick. As well as we've taken ghost peppers and ate them, and they are way too spicy. Of course, it's a ghost pepper, we know that. But I was thinking maybe there's some way that we could dull down the spice in order to make the salsa, but I haven't figured it out yet. So I'm not gonna harvest any of these peppers right now. We've got actually more than one of these plants, and we're not sure what to do with these peppers. Here is my beautiful Mexican sage. I cut the half of this, I trimmed it back a lot, and it has exploded with love for me after cutting it back. These purple flowers on top are huge and beautiful, and they have attracted hummingbirds. I tried to catch it on a video, I think it was just yesterday, but that hummingbird was way too quick for me. We have had hummingbird feeders outside before we had all these plants and never saw a single hummingbird. And now that I see them with this Mexican sage, it makes me so happy that we have this. Here are some of these shishito peppers that I love. I really want to make a pesto with these shishito peppers. I might have enough to make a small batch. These have honestly not gotten this big so far. These are the biggest shishito peppers that we've gotten. They've all been about half the size of these, and it's just awesome. Some dill that's growing. This dill though looks really pale. I thought the dill was supposed to have a darker green color to it, and I'm not sure why, but this dill is pale. I have cut it back, it's grown some more, and it just stays this very blonde color to it. I'm not sure why, I've got to look it up. This arugula has not done well since I first took my arugula off. When I first cut at it, took the leaves off for salad, it was delicious and it was looking awesome, and ever since then it's been spotty, the colors haven't been consistent, something's been eating on it. I come out here and clean it and try to love it, and it doesn't look right. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's the plant it's in, I don't know if it's where it's sitting, but it's not really happy, so I haven't been eating off of it anymore. Finally, the gorgeous tomato plants. So they've all been saved with the Florida weed. You've seen they've been growing us tomatoes. Got a couple of cute small ones here. But this morning I noticed what was hanging out with my tomato plants? A ton of cardinals. We had one male cardinal, bright red, gorgeous, was hopping around. Two female cardinals were hopping around over here and then over with the watermelon plants. I thought they were eating the bugs. I hope they're eating the bugs. But something has also been eating my tomatoes. So we need to make sure we get these bad ones off and try to get the good ones to survive. Okay, so we came onto the back side of the tomato plants. We have this pepper plant here. It's in this bag that's already started ripping because we actually moved it too much. And now we've seen something has happened to this plant. I don't know what. It almost looks like it's got disease all over it. If that's what this is, if it's disease, I mean, it has to be. It's like within the leaves. It's not really been eaten on, and it's just fallen apart. You can see all these leaves down here are dying and falling off. I don't know what's going on with this. I'm definitely gonna have to look this up and find out what's going on. Our watermelon plants though are looking awesome. This watermelon, I'm pretty sure it grew from the size of a thumb to this big in 5 days, maybe less. We've been putting a ton of water into this plant to see what we can do. This watermelon was actually the very first watermelon. If you go back in my garden tour videos, this is the one I'm always talking about and looking at, and it is now the smallest watermelon on this plant. It's not looking super awesome. I think something maybe has been eating at the bottom of it, trying to see if they could get inside of it. I'm almost to the point where we're gonna have to clip it off. Oh, I'm so sad it's the first one. There we go. Our very first watermelon cut off now, because I want to make sure the watermelons that look good are continuing to get all the nutrients that this plant wants to give it. You can see over here, we've got this one. You've seen it in other videos too. It almost looks like a squash gourd thing. While this one didn't really grow any more in size when we started adding the water, this one has. So we're gonna leave this one on in hopes that it's gonna fill out a little bit more. And then we have one more new happy little watermelon that's starting right here. And the color difference, like this watermelon has always been this real pale, whereas these new watermelons that are coming in are a bright, gorgeous green. So I really think either the plant's dynamics are like settled in and are changing, or it's all this extra water we're giving it. We turn the hose on, we leave it on a trickle, we set a timer for 2 hours, and we just let it run for 2 hours straight. And the plant and the watermelons really seem to be loving it. Okay, so one last thing that I wanted to show you. While this is my business, and I started in the beginning saying I needed to clean some things up and get some things taken care of, this part of our backyard is a little dull. We've got giant peach tree limbs that need to be taken care of. We've got our burning area. We've got a bunch of boxes we need to take care of and burn. And then I've got what started out as my compost area, but it hasn't really gone anywhere. I kind of gave up on it. Not that I gave up on it, it's still mentally going in my mind, but I've not done anything with it. So this is all a big part of this weekend. I'm gonna really try to fine tune this business side of mine, get everything cleaned up and get everything working functionally. I thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you'll watch my follow-up video, which I'm hoping to also post maybe tomorrow or the next day, to show you everything that I've done this weekend and everything that I've accomplished towards building my business. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed weekend. Here's today's little garden haul. All those eggplants and banana peppers. See, it's a lot, but it's not quite enough to feed a family of 6. Definitely will need more of one thing to make things for meals. Now the eggplants, I'm sure we'll be able to make a meal out of that. If you have advice for the banana peppers and how to make them more like the Subway banana peppers, please let me know.